I mean, we have Orr's notes where he's talking to Glenn Simpson, and Simpson gives him a list of intermediaries he was using, evidently targeting Trump. That's blacked out. It's not because it was classified. It's because it was in something else.
Yeah.
And the FBI is refusing to turn over text messages under FOIA. They believe they shouldn't have to search FBI text messages under FOIA. So McCabe, Strzok, and Page, none of their text messages would be reviewable under Wray's interpretation of FOIA law. And at the same time, I think Barr, if he does an adequate investigation, necessarily has to investigate the handling of the Clinton email, because that is the genesis of the targeting of Trump. You distract one, you distract from one by targeting the other. They're both sides of the same coin, and this Justice Department is viciously protecting Hillary Clinton in court against Judicial Watch now. People don't understand this, but we're in discovery, getting information on the Clinton email issue from email witnesses in her State Department and people close to her, and we're being fought tooth and nail by this Justice Department and this State Department. Still. So this is a leadership issue, I understand, when you're trying to get declassified documents, but the everyday operations of the Justice Department and the FBI continue to stand against efforts of accountability. And Clinton and the Russiagate, you can't separate Clinton email from Russiagate, because one was you targeted Trump to protect Clinton from the consequences of her email misconduct.
I mean, the thought from their perspective is, if you look at the famous July 5th, 2016 briefing by Comey, where he made up this notion of their requirement for intent to be a part of the crime of mishandling of national defense information. They could not accept the notion that the Democratic nominee was going to be indicted for national security crimes. That's what a legitimate investigation would have resulted in. 18 U.S.C. Section 793F. I know it very, very well. And so if she was charged with that, indicted in July or August, and now she's going to go run for president 2 months later, right? It is unimaginable to them. So an effort to thwart that, and then an effort to destroy Trump simultaneously to offset the damage done by the entire server story. And I think another huge part of this that feeds into the crazy hoax narrative. People will remember the Trump Tower visit by Veselnitskaya, the Russian attorney. Well, who did Veselnitskaya meet with the morning of her visit to the Trump Tower? Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS. And who did she meet with the day after her visit to Trump Tower? Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS. In the intelligence world, that's called dispatch and recovery, right? You dispatch your asset, they do what they got to do operationally, they pop back out on the other end, and you debrief them as to who did you meet, what did they say, and the only thing they wanted to do, the only thing is put that woman in Trump Tower with those people. They didn't care what was said, what was done, what was promised. They just needed to make the contact between the two persons, because it then facilitated 2 years of screaming Russia, Russia, Russia.
And that meeting was part of it. But do you think that they just got their sea legs in 2016?
Of course not.
I don't. The Obama administration has been doing these kinds of things since 2012, as far as we know. What about that Russian woman that was set up with Mike Flynn? Do you think that wasn't an operation? And that was in 2014, because Mike Flynn was a thorn in the side of the Obama administration.
Yep.
This is their modus operandi. Washington Post, I have a message for you. Democracy dies in darkness.
Well, I know the president has this awesome declassification authority as head of the executive branch, but constitutionally he also has this pardon power. And if I were him, I would exercise it broadly for those Americans improperly caught up in this. Carter, what next for you? We just have a few minutes left. What's your you have litigation, and
yes.
The Democrats want to talk to you again 15 times?
I have been pushing. I have had a lawsuit against the DNC, and it's funny. I've been a law student learning the law as well, and the false statements that they made in the FISA court, the DNC, through their various intermediaries, it's been followed in the time since. And so I think I'm hoping that this will be a turning point, but it's been a real uphill battle. But it's been a life or death situation. And again, Judicial Watch has when the FBI fell down in doing their main mission as opposed to just protecting their fellow Washington lawyers. You guys have been on the front line, so we'll have to wait and see, but I'm going to keep fighting the good fight.
I think it's fair to say that the number one question we probably all get from everyday Americans is anyone going to go to jail?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Meaning people involved in the misconduct targeting Trump.
I hope so. And I know some people come out and say, "Oh no, I don't want anyone to go to jail." Yes, because our Constitution was violated. They weaponized the tools that we use to keep this country secure. The intelligence tools, they weaponized them, and law enforcement tools, and that has to be shown to people that cannot ever happen again.
Chuck, as a reporter, you often are in a position to see stories on the horizon or stories that are being underplayed that you think will get more attention in the future. Can you highlight some of that for us as we close?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think kind of what we've been talking about, we're going to probably see a lot more come out about the informants that were used, including Steele, Stefan Halper down the road, and that depends a lot on what is declassified, I guess, but I expect a lot more developments on that. Of course, the IG's report is expected to, the chatter around, I'm not from Washington, but the chatter around Washington I hear is that, it's going to be pretty good.
Washington, Chuck.
I'm on Twitter, so I'm basically from Washington. So
Washington's a state of mind.
yeah, I mean that's of course going to be something to watch out for, and so we'll be chasing those threads once that comes out for the foreseeable future, and then of course the FOIA lawsuit. Michael Bekesha, the main lawyer on that, told me that we have another 2 years worth of documents down there, which is par for the course with government productions.
But if no one else is doing it,
Yeah.
we still be making news 2 years from now.
Right.
Chris, lots of FOIAs and lawsuits in the offing, as I guess.
Lots and lots, and as you well know, we never forget, we never quit. We're extraordinarily persistent. As you know, there's FOIA cases we have that are 16 years old, and we just never give up, which makes some people crazy,
No.
and that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we've gone international. We've asked both the Australian governments and the British governments for documents on the spy effort, and we're getting the same runaround we're getting here in the United States. So it was an international coup cabal in some ways, targeting President Trump. And I have to hand it to the president that he, despite his victimization, has been able to function in his job to the extent he's been able, because there's been no one else in American history targeted like this president. That's not a political statement, that's a fact. And it ought to be very concerning to any American who wants a Republican form of government as opposed to a government run by political appointees and bureaucrats who think they know better than the American people in terms of deciding who gets to be president and how they exercise their power and authority. And frankly, Mr. Mueller needs to be reminded of that now and again as well.